Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for 28 years later.
Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
Angry Andy. Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews.
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 Don't make me destroy you.
So, 28 Years Later is a sequel to 28 Days Later, directed by Danny Boyle on both occasions, and it is set 28 years after the events of that movie. And save for one singular written line of text, it completely ignores 28 weeks later. Now, before I get into anything further, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm going to be delving into some mild spoilers, except when I talk about the ending of this film. I'm going to discuss it, not at length, but basically just try to explain my utter confusement and bafflement of everything that happens in the very last couple of minutes of the film. My word, I don't know how I'm going to explain it or how I'm going to talk about it, but good grief. We'll get to that, I'm sure. But this movie, like I said, is set 28 years after the events of the first movie, 28 Days Later, where a rage virus has destroyed the entirety of the United Kingdom. There is a line of text that says that Europe has managed to push back the virus and keep the United Kingdom in a secure, isolated manner. There's patrol boats that make sure nobody can get off the island of the United Kingdom in its entirety. And this movie follows a young lad who ventures out with his father to become a man, essentially, from this small, isolated settlement of survivors who have managed to reside there for nearly 30 years. And his journey is to kill one of the infected and therefore become a man, like I said. When he returns, he takes his ill mother to find a mysterious doctor somewhere in the wilderness to discover what her ailment is about and try to help her. Now, this film it's interesting in a lot of ways. It is a sequel, but not in the sense of it being, a direct sequel with original characters. It is almost like a legacy sequel taking place in the universe of 28 days, if that makes sense to you. And 28 weeks later was kind of a wild one. It was very explosive, it was very bombastic. This one sort of brings it back to that reserved kind of survival horror that we got in 28 Days Later. However, there's a lot of weird things that go on in this movie. It almost plays out like two different movies as well. We have this opening section, this opening hour, 45 minutes, where Spike and his father are out and they're trying to survive in this wilderness. They get cut off at one point. They're being hunted by the infected. We see how the infected have evolved, and there's a particular evolutionary trait which really alarms every single person within the settlement. And it's interesting in that regard. Some of the horror is quite intense, but it's weird. It's not really outwardly scary, and even though it's intense, you don't really have that sort of sense of there being any suspense. I can't really describe why it doesn't work in that way, but the film is shot wonderfully well in these opening segments. There is a wonderful piece where they're being chased across this waterway, so this group of survivors are sort of kept protected by this water mass. It sort of cuts off the island from the mainland, and there's a wonderful shot where they're running away from one of these infected, which is called an alpha, and I won't go into any more details on that. It's wonderfully shot. Cinematography is excellent in places, and I think some of the visuals are very striking. But when we get into the second half of the movie, that's when things start to go a bit weird and bizarre, and not in the sense of like characters being bizarre in the universe. They make really fucking stupid decisions, and then some of the creative choices are just a bit wild. I don't know what it is. There's almost like a kill cam sort of setup. When they're using arrows, it sort of becomes like a Call of Duty kill cam ending to all these infected. When they get hit by arrows, we sort of jump around as each one of them gets hit. And it's, I understand, and again, this is purely going to be, I think, audience versus critics. I understand what kind of stylistic they're trying to do, but it has a weird sense of taking you out of the intensity of the moment. It's not fluid in any way. The camera work is very disjointed at times, and that's a problem with for me, some of the editing choices. Like I said, it is wonderfully shot in places, and then we have these odd, baffling moments that are almost like dream sequences, and I just, it completely threw me off at times. It really did throw me off. The second half of the film does sort of enter into this slow, trudging, melancholic thought about life and death. And again, while it's very interesting, and the entire thing about this movie, for me, is that it is about a boy who's learning what death is at its core. Everybody he comes across in this movie has different points of view on death. His father sees it as being a case of you must kill your enemies. He comes across, the situation with his mother, and it's about suffering painfully, horribly at times. And then the doctor teaches him about that death is a part of life. It's all of these elements work towards it, and yet they're undermined massively by some really fucking daft decisions. And one of the most daft and egregious decisions is that one of the characters leaves the infected alive. And it's supposed to be, and this is again something which I'll talk about with the infected in just a second, these things will destroy you. They will turn you in an instant. And yet, he leaves. This character leaves one of the infected just standing there in a fucking field while they trudge away.
Are you serious?
What? And it's not just a standard infected. This is supposedly one of these new evolved infected, and he just leaves it. What? Really? Are you being serious? It completely baffled me. It absolutely baffles me. And the thing with the infected in this film is that they're only as necessary as the film requires. It doesn't feel really like they have much of an impact. As bizarre as it sounds, there are some really important scenes, some interesting scenes, and like I said, some very wild scenes that I won't spoil because I'm conscious of spoiling too much. They're only there to facilitate certain things. It's almost a story that doesn't involve them, even though a lot is said about these new evolutionary traits, and then we see a lot. And believe me, there is something we see which is, again, we've not seen anything in the promotional material, anything, but it's quite shocking, and it raises a lot of questions, and again is quite baffling in itself. But we don't spend any great time in dealing with these visual things we see, these events that happen to the characters. It is very much the story of the characters, which of course is what you want, but when you're showing something so striking as these evolutionary traits, fucking hell, do we not need to talk about this a little bit? Do we not need to have a few moments where we have maybe some, dare I say, some exposition to really tell us, or at least discuss what the fuck we've just seen? No, we just trudge on.
Alrighty then.
We just trudge on and move on just as quickly as the Swedish soldiers arrive and depart this earthly plane. It's a film of some wild, baffling choices, and I think it's going to be one of those, like I said, that really does divide people. Like I said, it is wonderfully shot. It is so perfectly directed in places. Jodie Comer as the mother is superb, and the young lad who plays Spike, I can't remember his name for the life of me, he is absolutely perfect. He is going to have a very bright future ahead of him because he nails every single emotional beat in this film. But then those emotional beats are completely washed away by the fact that some of the characters are just so fucking stupid in this world. How can they be this stupid in this world? They've been in this environment for 28 fucking years, and we're just going to leave infected alive. Fuck off. Really? And that is purely to dictate what happens towards the end of the film. That's all it is. It's all it is, and all it ever fucking is. But even then, we get this miraculously wonderful emotional ending. It's so well done. It's inch perfect. It looks superb. The emotional undertones are perfect. And then, weirdly enough, that isn't the actual ending of the film. And if you're still here, bearing in mind I've already been spoiling, this is the fundamental spoiler that I was going to talk about.
All right, Longer. Let's do it.
The actual ending of this film is Spike is alone. He's traversing, you know, the outer wilds of the United Kingdom. He's on his own. He's looking to, you know, he sends a letter to his father, along with the other thing that I'm not going to explain. And he says, "Don't worry about me. I'll be back as soon as I'm ready." And he's traversing this wilderness all on himself, and he comes across a shit ton of infected. They chase him down. He comes up against this blockade of boulders. He's got no out at all. He's dead until, well, I can simply describe as tracksuit wearing Power Ranger wankers turn up. And it ties into the opening of the movie, but my fucking god, they are literally tracksuit wearing ninjas, and it is the most wild and baffling tonal shift of a fucking change I have ever seen in a movie. We go from this wonderfully emotional payoff for Spike, where he's decided to go out and traverse the wilds on his own, and then we get a group of blonde tracksuit wearing wankers who have ninja powers and ninja weapons wiping out a group of infected. What the actual fuck is this shit?
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Honestly, it's the most fucking wild thing I've ever seen at the end of a movie. The end of a serious movie dealing with death, and we come across 5 or 6 tracksuit wearing wankers. Honest to God, and they're all wearing different colours. They literally look like Power Rangers. Fuck off, Danny Boyle. What is this? What's this message? What are you saying? And you know what? I guess it kind of fits in terms of material references. I mean, what the people use as a basis for growth when their entire world is destroyed, if you like. And there is a very, very subtle reference to to like Power Rangers, I guess. But bugger me, really? Fucking hell, it's awful. It's fucking awful. And for me, this is the fundamental part of the movie which will fucking divide everyone. Fuck the critics, because nobody's mentioning the wildness of the ending. Nobody's mentioning the wildness of the ending. They're all talking about cinematography, which I agree. They're all talking about the direction, which I agree. They're all talking about the performances, which I agree. Nobody's fucking talking about this fucking bizarre ending that makes no fucking sense. I guess it does in context, but fuck me, it's so vastly different from the rest of the entire film. It's like somebody just fucking dropped a different film in on top of a film that's already had 2 different films. Fuck me! Fucking hell. Wild. It's absolutely wild. I can't describe anything greater than that. I mean, I'm laughing, but I think it's utter dog shit. I do think it's utter dog shit, the ending. I really do. And it's so bizarre, given everything we had going through with the movie. And like I said, I don't think it's particularly scary. I don't think it's particularly suspenseful or anything like that. I think it is good at what it does. It's good at being a survival horror movie, okay, with some really deep emotional punches and messaging. But it's fucking ending. It's fucking ending. Fuck me. What the actual fuck? And that's all I can say, really. That's all I can say about this film. It is interesting to watch. It's an interesting movie. It is a little bit dull in places, and then you get this. Man, I think I'm going to leave the review there on that note, because, and I hope you go out and see this movie, because I think the beauty of 28 Days Later is that it afforded 28 weeks later. And dare I say, do I think 28 weeks later is a little bit better, this movie? Yeah, I think it is, purely because the performance by the actor that plays Don in that movie, his transformation scene is fucking up there. It's perfect. But I think it's worthwhile seeing this movie on the basis of the brilliance of 28 Days Later, but it doesn't carry the same weight. It's not going to change movie landscape in the same way that 28 Days Later did. And this film leaves it wide open for fucking more movies, more sequels.
Cause let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
Do I want a sequel? I'm going to be honest and say no. I don't want to see a movie about tracksuit wanker ninjas, to be honest with you. I really don't. But there we go. That's the situation we're in. It's Danny Boyle's choice. He's always been a wild director for choices like this. You know, Trainspotting, Slumdog Millionaire. It's just this fucking ending. I can't understand it at all. But again, like I said, it tracks with how the film opens. It's fucking bizarre. But there you go. I'm going to leave this review there. The review's probably gone on a lot longer than I intended. Just fucking what? What the fuck? So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts on this movie. Let me know, for goodness sake, what your thoughts are on the very ending of the movie, because it's going to take some time for me to fucking reconcile with that fucking ending. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'm not sure how coherent it actually turns out to be, but if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, like I said, and please consider subscribing to the channel for more reviews like this one. And who knows, maybe we'll get some tracksuit ninja wankers 28,000 years later. I don't fucking know at this point. Fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.